Alright, so in this video I'm going to share with you why we do not need to fear God, because if we fear God, we're fearing life, if we really think about it. In this video, I hope that if you have your own beliefs, that you can put them aside for just 5-10 minutes of this video, hear me out, and see if it makes a difference in your viewpoint. So let's think about this idea that we need to fear God. What does that really come from? I think a lot of it, in my own ideas, anyways, my own analysis of it, has come from the idea that those with the knowledge are above us. Those in the power of governments are above us. Those in the churches are above us. And so we must fear them and respect them and not disobey them. And in that way, we will be obedient to God. But if you really think about it, does that really feel right? When you sit with it in your heart, does it feel right that there would be some sort of God that would want you to always be in fear of them? Or is that against the flow of this creation? Because think about it like this. If this entire creation was created out of the same source, is the word I'm going to use instead of God, source. And then, in this universe, a bunch of different lives, a bunch of different souls, and I've spoken about this before, have popped forward in that universe. And now the same source has told those souls that they must fear the source which it has come out of, which it is projected out of. Does that really make sense? Does that really feel right? Or does it feel like it's against the current of life? Because in my opinion, and this is how I feel through my own experience, life is flowing like a river in one direction. And to flow in that direction, it's like flowing in love. But fear is in many ways the opposite of love. And so, if we're living in fear, it's like we're trying to swim back up current. And so if you truly are trying to connect with the source of this magnificent creation, which people call God, then how could you fear it? And now, when we have these ideas that there's a heaven and there's a hell, these geographical locations that we can achieve after death, then we start acting in a certain way that we think will allow us into it. But in reality, we're all human beings, learning what it's like to be on this planet. Some of us have thoughts that people consider good, other people consider bad, and so it's about finding that universal balance in your heart that is beyond fear, that is even beyond love, that connects you with the source of this creation. But just consider it like this, that this life is flowing in one direction of love. That's the natural current, the source, the creator, God, wanted for this universe. But because we've been told that if we disobey God or a government or a church, then we're going to be repelled out of it and sent somewhere else bad, like hell or prison or something like that. But in reality, all that does is make people think that they need to live in fear and they need to fear God. But how could you fear something that is utter love, that is even beyond love, that is complete union? Because I'm not here to say that I even know what God is, but I'm here to say that this entire creation flows from the same source, and it flows from a same universal ground of ease that we can all tap into in our hearts. And if we learn to do that, we will see that fear has no place in that state. I think in yoga, in the East, they call it the bliss body. And they don't even know what to call it, because as soon as they touch it, they just get blissed out. As soon as they touch it, they expand to the size of this universe and beyond. As soon as they touch it, they disappear. And so as you touch that, as you notice that, and as you settle into that, you realize that fear has no place there. Fear is like its own little space floating below that, you could say. Not really below it, but apart from it. And so fear has nothing to do with that beauty. And so if you wish to know God, if you wish to know that same universal state that everyone can touch, that we call enlightenment, that we call union, then you can't hold it in fear. And again, it's about stripping back this idea of why fear? Well, because fear brings respect. And why respect? Well, respect means that you won't disobey them. But you've been given free will here to make your own decisions and live your own life and to find that common ground in your own way. To find that space in your own way. Whether you go this direction or that direction, it's up to you. In India, they have the Aghoris, who do things that many quote-unquote religious people would see as terrible, but it is a path for them. It's not right or wrong, it's just a path back home to the source of this creation. But if you fear the source of this creation, how can you ever go home? If you fear yourself, how can you ever know yourself in its entirety as the source? Now, if you have your own beliefs, your own ideas, this may be hard to listen to, and you may have even turned it off by now, or you may be angry with me or whatever. But I really just ask for you to consider it. Put down your beliefs for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, which I know is really hard, and just ask, do I really need to be in fear of this thing that is all-knowing? This source that has brought this creation together and allowed us free will to make of it what we will? Or does fear actually not play a role in that at all? And that's just a human idea that we brought forward to keep us in control, to keep us walking down the path without asking where we're going. So, this is a little different video, and I feel that I might be making more of these kind of videos as we go forward. Just really touching on the most serious things. I started by touching on anxiety because I thought that's what people needed to hear, and I'll still touch on that. And I thought maybe mental health. But these things are so important. Addressing your most common, your most neglected beliefs, such as I need to fear a God. Why? Why would you ever want to live in fear? Isn't this life about living in love? Isn't this life about living in joyousness and ease? Isn't this current moving in love? Isn't it? And you might look at saying, no, look at all that, look at all that, look at all that. But that's all human creation, because humans have been given their free will, so they can create their own beliefs and ideas and fight over it. But if you sit here under a tree, you'll realize that it's all flowing in one current, and everything else is just trying to swim back up current. But that's not your fault. That's not their fault. That's not your problem. That's for you to watch, remain in love, and let others notice you, and let them move in the current themselves. They'll turn around themselves once they notice. So anyways, if you're fearing God, and if you think that's the only way to connect to God, consider this video, and hopefully it makes a difference. And if you'd like to find out for yourself, just spend some time meditating. Spend some time meditating in silence and stillness, and you might notice it for yourself.